to just hint at the fact that there's a possibility that Falcon can go for an assassin. But of course now, there's a bit more knowledge in the hands of RRQ. They ban away the Harith, so denying that potential lead game coming in from ZipX. But honestly, we saw that the Harith really wasn't as dangerous, and for Falcon, it's going to be that Melissa yet again.
We'll see, right, if RRQ decides to go with a similar ban they did previous game, because still what's left open is that Beatrix, and that was an amazing game for ZipX previously. They could just be going for a pretty much the same draft at this point, unless there is a curveball here. But Falcon, I mean, if they go in with the same game plan, it's going to be a good game for them. There it is. There's the Hayabusa, right? So do they just go ahead and lock in that Beatrix?
Of course, of course. I mean, like I said, it's exactly what they wanted. They're going to lock in the Beatrix. Now, does RQ now have an answer up their sleeve for that? We already know most likely they're going to pick up that Claude again, but it's all going to come down to what they put in as their roam, really.
Right. I mean, the roamer has more presence, right, in the hands of Vin. That can work as well.
They're just going the same.
Wow, it's the exact same thing. You're right. I mean, honestly, I always said that Vin was good at picking off people. Kufro is more of a huge team fight kind of hero. So we'll see again, can he get more success here? RRQ, man, doing the same exact thing, hoping for a different result. This is crazy.
I mean, you know,
wow.
Well, since we've already talked about this draft last time, I guess we don't really have to talk anymore.
Yeah, we'll just fast forward to the Landodon. But no, jokes aside, why not, right? I mean, we actually saw this in their previous series, even I think it was with the Blacklist International, where it was a pretty much the same draft that they went with from game to game. But that just pretty much says that RRQ was confident in what they had the previous game. It's just unfortunate for them they lost those last couple of team fights because they did have the lead. They had quite a bit of a lead here, but Falcon happy with what they had against it to counter this draft, and it's going to come down once again to those minute decisions if they can get the snowball. And I think still, even in the jungle, right, really, where does that fall in place? Who grabs this first blood?
It's a confusing situation, and I think there's going to be a lot of deja vu here. There's going to be so many moments and movements that's going to look so similar, so familiar to us, and it's going to be very confusing, man.
Well, confusing or not, it's the same draft for the next game. The Land of Dawn awaits. It's RRQ and Falcon. Match point still for RRQ.
Right. For the most part, I don't think there's any real big difference in the emblems. So again, this is an uncanny, similar game. I wonder if RRQ are going to do things differently, because in the early game, we did see that there's a lot of HP bars getting very, very low, but the first blood eventually was picked up by Falcon. So we'll see if RRQ can break the trend and actually get that first blood this time.
I think the only difference here is this time the XP lane is on the top side.
So that's how we know we're not, we didn't time travel.
It's not a glitch, right? Guys. We're not in the Matrix. It's okay.
Well, I mean, still, the fact here is Falcon looking to take this to Game 5, and if they're happy with what they drafted previously, they might as well continue it. I think the biggest thing here for Vin specifically is to be a little bit more cautious on those initiations. But if you want to just take that risk, go for it. You do have, that match advantage too. But still, I feel like even R7, right, going against Yellow Flash. Notice the difference too. Yellow Flash running with a flicker instead of the sprint like we saw previously. He makes it work, right? But I do think that Falcon has this draft figured out for now.
Oh, but we can already see the presence from both teams now, but I got a feeling they may take it a little bit slower than what we've seen in the past. Not as aggressive in this first 2 minutes.
Well, we have to see. I mean, R7 already doing so much better against the crew here. So, small differences, but for the most part, I think we can see the big bulk of difference coming in as far as the turtle fight is considered, right? Because for both these teams, they definitely want to go aggressive towards that turtle, and I think that's where we're going to see the decisive moment in who gets the early game.
Well, Turtle now spawned here. Both junglers in position, half health. R7 trying to clear that lane as well to get here with Clay. Vin making his way as well. Naomi also getting that level 4 available. Who takes it?
Cannon's in a very bad spot in between 3 members, but finally Falcon is here to help. Clay finds the turtle. Ken, stuck against the wall, will go down. That is a first blood for the side of RRQ. Yellow Flash sitting on top of R7, wants to find revenge for his team. Will succeed in that one, so it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Turtle goes to RRQ.
The first blood goes to RRQ as well, so already a change. Again, we're just being reminded it's not the same game, but in the mid lane, it's the same situation, right? Aggression, wave pushing, and I think the matchup we need to take a look at is also in that gold lane. If ZipX can still get a huge lead in the early game, there's no reason why he can't replicate the same results of the previous game. That is something that RRQ needs to keep in mind, and maybe they'll try and spend more time and resources to ensure that Skylar is the one snowballing instead.
Well, check out this M4 stat here. Albert is the third player to surpass 200 kills in M Series, joining Chuka Guys and Oheb. So Albert, obviously, I mean, everybody knows at this point, Albert is a incredible player, really a component here for RRQ to work around. But even as a team, I mean, I would say that RRQ in general, across the board, especially with, you know, the way that they've refined their play style on the macro and micro level, everything is apparent. But in terms of aggression, the aggressive playstyle, they like to go at it.
Ooh, Skylar taking a lot of damage. Ken doesn't want to let him go. Skylar able to be on my way, but Zigzaps has locked on. Vin goes down. They're going to look for it. Naomi in the tower. Nice hook. And they find him. That's 2 kills for the side of the Falcons.
There's 2 kills, and RRQ has no real answer. The early game from Falcon, yet again, showing to be very, very strong. The Beatrix and the Franco being a very deadly combo. For RRQ, though, they're just trying to recover and still waiting for the next neutral objective. Albert is still farming pretty okay, but the longer he lets this go on, the more he is susceptible to getting taken out by the damage that is scaling from the side of Falcon.
Wow, look at that. The bottom turret already chunked down. It's almost completely gone here. ZipX, similar like last game, he's having a pretty good time on this Beatrix as now they fight for the turtle.
Yeah, Albert's going to take his time this time, along with RRQ. Look at Vin, cocking up, trying to go, trying to land something. Does not land, though. Yellow Flash is on to Albert, though. Albert takes the turtle, and now it's a battle. In the middle, Ken able to take out Vin, but Skylar takes out Ken. It's a 1-for-2 currently. No, 3 members of Falcon down. Albert finds Yellow Flash in the final moments of that fight. RRQ takes the advantage.
That's a 3-for-2 for RRQ. They're able to get a huge combo going in, and of course with all the AoE they have in this early game, they got a bit of a lead. But later on, if they replicate the same kind of playstyle, remember, ZipX will be out-damaging Skylar unless he gets nuked in the initial engage before that. So that's something that RRQ needs to adjust once they go into the mid-game. Looking at the emblems right now, Demon Slayer for both jungles, nothing real too surprising, but with all the mages going Mystery Shop, both teams are trying to go for early game aggression.
Well, Albert got that, right? And I mean, even looking at emblems, looking at items here, the one thing that's apparent is why Fredrin is picked so often. You see that clump that Falcon really goes into when they're team fighting, especially around Naomi. But with the taunt and with the CC there, it's so strong here with this Fredrin pick, especially when things kind of just fall into place and that burst potential is there with Clay and that damage over time from Skylar when he gets the Blazing Duet off. Now, it is going to take Skylar a little bit longer here to get to that online point for this quad, but still, you can't count ZipX out just yet, right? He hasn't died. He's done a pretty good job farming up, and he's got the 4 assists. So weapon mastery Beatrix here is going to be scary as the game goes on.
Of course, Naomi trying his best to ensure that Beatrix will actually be successful in the late game. RRQ tries to defend this turret, but it's just too low. They'll be forced to back away as ZipX picks up that BOD. That's a lot of burst damage to anyone that gets set up by Naomi. And remember, in the late game, AoE will be favoring the side of Falcon, right? Justin going up against Clay. The Lunos has a lot of damage, but in the late game, it's only going to be single target. Whereas we saw that Justin in the late game on the Valentina, that's a lot of damage output to multiple people and multiple applications of the crowd control.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Falcon want. And this is why ZipX now going to be able to rotate up onto this lane. Wait, a nice shot.
Whoa,
comes on. Albert will get terrified. Ken able to secure it. Albert finally goes down. Turtle over to the side of Falcon, and Ken wants more. Finds Vin. Clay able to pick up Ken, though, so it's 2 for 1 currently. Make that a 3 for 1. Justin wants to try to lock onto R7, but R7's very, very slippery. Tries to readjust himself, thinks it over, doesn't want to dive too deep because right now Falcon is on the rise.
Wow, unfortunate for RRQ there. Skylar was not there for that fight. because, I mean, a blazing duet at that point would have been crucial for that. But Falcon able to get the advantage, now building on this gold lead.
And that's exactly what I meant, like, taking that tower, Falcon focusing on that gold lane was extremely important to how they move into the mid phase of this game. Skylar, on the other hand, gonna need to stay down here if they don't want to lose any more towers.
That's why RRQ, they just keep going head-to-head, trying to go mechanics against mechanics. But honestly, if Falcon has set up so successfully to give themselves a huge one-man advantage and denying the Blazing Duet from that big team fight, RRQ at some point need to understand that there are some fights they need to back away from or at least approach differently. Maybe wait out some of the ultimates and then go in when Falcon is not expecting it.
Oh, big Tyrant's Rage. They're going to capitalize. Justin goes down, and that's a nice kill into the pocket of Skylar. Try to get a little bit of chip damage onto that tower as Falcon decides to take off. But while this is happening, ZipX claims more ground, taking away a tower on the top side.
Falcons basically just making wins around the map where they can find them because, I mean, you got to watch out for Vin, right? The setup potential is there. You've also got to work on these objectives because as everything transitions on, we're only moments away from that first Lord here, and you want to be able to have that space to work with. So right now, Falcon still having that little bit of lead in terms of gold. ZipX now picking up the Malefic Roar here. That's going to be massive in terms of damage department. So RRQ, they got to be cautious how they approach this Lord. Skylar as well wants to be able to time that Blazing Duet, especially if for some reason Albert gets those taunts off that knock-up on multiple members of Falcon.
For the next fight though, RRQ, Clay will have the glowing one ready, so that's a lot of DPS as Vin tries to engage a fight.
Oh, but he gets shut down. No Tyrant's Rage for RRQ. Wait a second.
Oh.
R7 into the backside with the Blazing Duet. It's enough chip damage to take down ZipX and Naomi. RRQ showing dominance right now in these team fights. Yellow Flash now come back in along with Ken. Of course, use a flicker. Ken doesn't have the does have the decimation, but decides not to use it there. Falcon able to at least push them away from the Lord, but they lose a lot in that team fight.
Not only that, R7 just took the purple.
R7 takes the purple, which is, again, another insult to injury for the side of Falcon. Unfortunate for them, this is what we've been talking about. R7 was able to go in towards that back line, and ZipX is not nearly strong enough to be a solo threat towards that Joy, and Finn goes in again.
That was a beautiful cancel on that Tyrant's Rage. Falcon now may have a little bit of a possibility for this. It's a Lord battle.
Wow.
Ken takes it, but a couple members getting low. R7 found by Naomi. It's a beautiful hook. Then misses it. The outplay from ZipX is beautiful. Ken now going to try to move on to Skylar here. Push him back. RRQ against the ropes.
That's a weird back and forth coming in from RRQ, and Vin so desperate to find the knockup onto ZipX. It just wasn't working out. Unfortunately, as Naisu mentioned, on that Kufra, missing the Tyrant's Revenge is gonna actually leave you in such a vulnerable state, and ZipX completely took advantage of that. And for now, with all the members being so tanky, RRQ needs to find a different method of fighting aside from just picking off one of the tankier members. Maybe diving more towards ZipX and denying that DPS will work. I mean, we saw that successfully play out in the previous team fight.
Well, right now, they've got to deal with this Lord on the top side. It is just the first one, so should be able to make quick work of it. Naomi, though, waiting for an angle if he can find one to get that numbers advantage. The tier 2 in the mid lane is going to go down here. Falcon full tempo mode here, 4K gold lead, and they're going for another turret.
Definitely pushing the tempo for sure. Falcon trying to give everyone around the world a show right now, but we cannot count RQ out just yet.
If you count RQ out, you've seen what they can do, man. They can be behind in gold, behind in numbers as well. It doesn't even matter. You need to take them seriously at every turn, and we've seen that in this game, at least, they found a bit more success in those big team fights. Of course, the next one wasn't that good, but they make adjustments on the fly. This is what they're famous for. So you can see that Falcon is still very much respecting the possibility of RRQ just coming out with a very unexpected play. They stick S4 just in case there's a death bush somewhere with 5 members from RRQ inside it.
I mean, even with all that said about RRQ, right now, Falcon, you can say the same about them, right? I mean, they work really well with this gold lead, and they've been doing an amazing job at just protecting ZipX. And this was the case that they needed to solve when it came to Game 3 and now Game 4, right? ZipX had a great time farming up. He's protected well from Naomi and Yellow Flash, and they're going to push it down to the bottom side.
Naomi lands a hook on Skylar. That's a big pick. Falcon now with the numbers advantage. Going to try to push this lead. All damage off the board for RQ. R7 won't be able to do much against this lineup without someone else coming in. Minions now encroaching in onto the mid side. It does have a defense, so Vin tries to come in. Gonna get stunned, immobilized, but Albert does find the taunt onto Justin, but ZipX brings out the Beer's passion. R7 will fall. Ken able to still rise up, gets a double kill onto Vin. Falcon backing off, but finds so much in that push.
Justin still alive after doing all that damage, and with 3 members down, Falcon goes for the aggressive play. They might just go for the end here. They have the tools to make it happen.
They're definitely going to try it. Brilliance comes out to dodge the hook, but Skylar back on the field. Going to need to be a little bit careful here. Even though he's behind, he still packs a punch. Lord back on the field.
This might be a Holy Mary play from Albert. Trying to get in position to even take this, but he's gonna get locked down.
Ooh, ZipX melting down Albert. Albert forced dash. No Hail Mary play here. Naomi was waiting. Sniper out. Locked and loaded. Lands. That's a lot of damage. Boom. This is huge for Falcon.
I was waiting for a boom goes the dynamite, but just like that, Falcon securing another Lord, furthering that gold lead, and they are prepped and ready to go for this march into the base that could just bring us to a Game 5 here.
RRQ is struggling so hard right now because even if Skylar wants to go in the blazing duet towards that back line, he can go with the Wind of Nature, but Justin is still doing an insane amount of damage as well, and that is what is denying him the chance to just shut down ZipX, and this Beatrix is just so much damage coming out from the side of the Falcons.
Definitely a lot of damage. Vin trying to push out. Yellow Flash along with holding it. Lord will get melted out, but Skylar with the blazing duet. Not enough though. Ken still in the field. Vin will be the first to fall in this fight. Ken down as well. Clay finally finds it. Albert will be next. A double kill for Clay. Justin still looking for something. It's 2 for 2 currently, but Falcon maybe staying a little bit too long. Yellow Flash needs to be careful here. R7 and Skylar onto it, and that is a pause.
We're jumping back in after that little break here. And as we catch up, it is Falcon going to go ahead and retreat, regenerate, and get ready for the next objective push. Still, it was a 2 for 2 trade. Falcon having quite a bit of immortalities available to them as well. But still, like Arashi mentioned, RRQ's got to be able to solve the issue of ZipX, take out that impactful damage, and meanwhile, even avoid all those iron hooks that have been on point so far from Naomi.
And on that note, we saw that play in the bottom side where Naomi was able to hook Skylar despite everyone being in the same spot. RRQ need to coordinate and again, decide who needs to take the iron hook, worst case scenario if it cannot be dodged. But if you look at the items right here, R7 already adapting his build, going for the blade armor instead, ensuring that he needs, to survive just a bit longer, be that much more annoying for ZipX to deal with. But of course, with all the items completed for ZipX, including the highest claws, there's a chance he can just out-sustain the damage coming in from a semi-tank Joy.
Well, right now, conceal play going to come out here. I think they just want to avoid these hooks. Skylar picking up the corrosive scythe. That's going to be a key pickup for this Claude as they try to figure out how to get to the back line of Falcon.
You know, right now, this is the point where Falcon wants to use the lane advantage. They want to try to keep that bottom lane pushed in so that RQ has to keep on sending someone over. They have the minion advantage. They have a big macro play here. I don't think they need to be too aggressive, honestly. They could have an easy Lord. The only advantage that RQ has, though, is this Joy, who should be able to clean that lane very quickly and still move so fast back to the Lord pit.
On the issue of turrets as well, there's only one being taken by RRQ.
Uh-oh.
The rest of the turrets are available, but look at that.
Ooh, Yellow Flash gets brought very low, but Vin gets hooked in. Albert trying to help out. R7 in the backside trying to lock on to ZipX. ZipX just too bulky. R7 wants it, forced to retreat now. Beer's passion comes out, and Justin finds R7. Next might be Albert. He's a bulky boy, though. Snipe shot comes in. Immortality pops. Albert still on the field. Not enough. Ken finds him. Now it's 3 up against 5, and a Luminous Lord on the field. This is rough.
That was a rough time to get picked off in a bad position there. Skylar, if you notice, he couldn't even join that fight because he was half health, and somehow Yellow Flash was able to attach himself to Skylar, forcing him even further back to heal up. And just like that again, Falcon grabs themselves a Lord, looking to siege the base of RRQ.
Most definitely, Falcon gonna move in onto this inhibitor. They break it down. Play Vin. Vin's gonna get hooked. Can't finish the Tyrant's Revenge. Will go down. Zipbeck's picking it up. Skylar with a blazing duet though. Naomi brought low, able to get away with a sliver of health. R7 trying to help out, but Ken is now here. He has an immortality, so you know he's ready to go. Minions do land on. Lord has not spawned yet. I don't know if Falcon wants to push so deep, but they have a huge gold advantage. Lord finally on the field now. Falcon gonna think about how they want to do this push.
They're just sieging slowly but surely, and that range advantage is just so annoying. And we can see that Skylar, he can't even go in full towards the backline. He just has to try and dance around and use the max range of the Blazing Duet. And Clay gets chunked down, and Falcon makes their move.
And Albert trying to push this Lord a little bit to the bottom side. Ken comes in. Albert, R7, very, very low.
Lord.
Albert goes down first. Lord onto the base. Falcon closing the distance, bridging the gap, and taking us to game number 5.
We wouldn't want it any other way.
I love Mobile
5
Legends.
games is what we want here in this type of match. And at the same time, in this triple header day, crucial game ahead of us, Sarashi.
It's a chance for Falcon to come in with a reverse sweep, and that is a scary prospect for RRQ. The momentum right now is on the side of Falcon because of their 2 insane performances, and we know for a fact that RRQ, occasionally, they do struggle in that mental aspect. That is the main question.